told you. Wake up, I gotta go get it. Wake up, wake up, I gotta.
Yes, we're here. No need to fear. The College Couch Podcast is back and in session. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Javaris Harris, along with my brother, my cousin, Stackz. Oh my goodness, Stackz Delbridge, forever in the building. Listen,
What's
yeah.
going on? What's going on, man?
Hey, listen here. It's good to see you, my brother. But for me to be messing up on our intro like that, that's how you know I feel like this. We know where this episode is gonna go, right?
Yeah,
A lot has transpired this past weekend, especially with the conference championships going on, and so it was a doozy to say the least. I think
for
a
sure,
doozy.
for
I
sure.
think a doozy is probably one of the best ways to explain what happened this past weekend. And I think for sure one of them being the SEC championship, and as far as with that, and then we have the rankings that following Sunday. Um, it was a lot. I mean, I think Georgia fans everywhere were like, maybe this is the opportunity, that we could possibly get, or I mean, it's really no way to explain what happened on Saturday. Like they just fell short. Like there's no excuse. You have to find a way in situations like that. Like you cannot come up short, especially to a team like Alabama. So we're now a part of the Crimson Tide Survivors Club. We both lost to Alabama, and so
By the same margin, with the
by the
same
same margin.
score, with the
Yeah,
same exact score.
yeah.
Like
So
it's crazy at this point, man. Like
hmm
it's wild. Wow.
yeah,
How are
yeah,
you feeling right now? I gotta check on you, my brother. Make sure you got a lifeline. You ain't on life support, my brother. I gotta make
yeah.
sure you know what I'm saying you all right over there.
Yeah, so I'm good. I'm good. Funny enough, I expected I expected this outcome. Not even joking. I kind of expected this outcome. Um 2 weeks ago, Georgia played Georgia Tech, and figuratively the starters weren't there. A lot of guys were battling with injuries. And again, I'm not going to sit here and make the excuses of injuries were the reason, we fell short, this, that, and the third. Because again, you have to find a way. You always have to
Right,
find
right,
a
right,
way.
right.
So no, it's just I'm not upset, but I just feel like sometimes things just aren't meant to be, you know. And I think I've grown to understand that more with this team because I found myself or over the years not becoming so emotionally invested with the win loss column because I've been with Georgia as a Georgia fan. I've been a fan since maybe like my fifth grade year of elementary, fifth grade, sixth grade. So younger me would definitely have been more upset than how I'm feeling right now. But I think it showed a lot with this team because they didn't play bad. It's just they had a shortcoming. And it just
Right,
ultimately
right.
resulted in them not getting an opportunity to play in the college football, playoffs. So, but no, I don't feel myself, on the verge or on the edge, no, none of that. I mean, it happens. Alabama
Right,
deserves
right.
to be in. Alabama deserves to be in. And even the entire college football playoff picture, I agree with it. I think the committee made a great decision. With Michigan being number one in Washington and then um number three being Texas and then Alabama. I think that was the best decision you possibly could make. Um, I not only after the game, it's more so just the reactions I saw to the rankings, which is even more like shocking. Like I don't think people understand that a lot goes into what transpires with these rankings. Like it's
Right.
not just strength of schedule. It's not just the eye test. It's not just what we think we know. It's a
Right.
bunch of factors that are underlying within how the college football
Right.
playoff committee
Right.
determines who's going to be in these top 6 spots. So with Florida State not making it, it was the right call. It was the right call. I want to go back to something real quick, and I think a lot of people may know where I'm about to go with this. So if you're aware, there was a team last year, right? That that may have slid into the top 4, but this team had to play a Michigan, right? They somehow found a way to beat Michigan, and they ended up going to the national championship. That team had to play number 1 Georgia. This team also lost to Georgia 65-7. The committee is trying to avoid another mistake of a TCU getting into the playoff picture and then getting destroyed on national television. That's one of the reasons why FSU did not make it in. Because Jordan Travis is not currently with the team. They're currently playing with a third string freshman quarterback and barely escaped their conference championship this past Saturday. There needs to be no more conversation as to why FSU made it. I just gave it to you. But the good part about this FSU team is they finally are finding their identity back into the college football picture, pretty much.
Right.
They're looking great. They look phenomenal. They look great this season.
Right.
But one of the factors that goes into the college football playoff picture is the current state of the team now. The college football committee is not going to wait until Jordan Travis heals back up in order to make their decision of who they place in their top 4. It's over.
Right.
Point blank period. It's over. So I understand. Yeah, FSU didn't make it. But who's to say they won't make it when the picture is 12 teams next year, you know? So,
Right.
with that being said, it sucks. Did they get, did they get robbed or screwed? That's your personal opinion. That is your personal opinion that you're entitled to. But no, I do not feel that they got robbed. No, you know, they still have an opportunity to possibly beat Georgia in a few weeks. Possibly. I say that very strongly. Possibly.
Well, the thing, with the bowl games, kind of interesting because
Yeah.
people sit, so
Mhm.
so it's not. That is why the playoff picture is expanding, so people won't sit.
Yeah.
But I personally think that this was a great setup for next year.
Hmm.
Because you say, Georgia didn't make it, Bama went in, the analytics with FSU not getting in. Now, next year, this situation doesn't happen.
Hmm.
Florida State gets to compete for a championship. Georgia gets to compete for a championship, and it'll really show what these teams are made of. Because
Right.
now you got an opportunity to compete. What will you do? And for me, in my opinion, I felt Bama was gonna win the SEC championship just
Hmm.
because the reason I felt like because this Georgia team was not dominant as they have been the last 2 years. And to speak to you not being for lack of better words emotional about them losing because I feel like the emotions came with their first championship.
Hmm.
You know, y'all winning that first championship, that was like emotional for you guys. Cause every Georgia fan that's like diehard, I saw cry. I
Hmm.
saw, really passionate about that win because most of them weren't alive or they were too young to fathom Georgia winning the championship.
Right.
You know, so I get it. And then you repeat. So it's like, okay, we expected this. Like this is what we
Right.
were supposed to do.
Exactly.
So a three-peat, when somebody is in a conversation with a three-peat, it's like, okay, you lose. All right, we should have competed for it, but
Hmm.
whatever. We got our two. You
Right.
can kind of like talk your junk because you still got two back to back. So nobody's ever done a three-peat in
Hmm.
college football. So it's like it's far fetched. You know, would it have been nice? I'm pretty sure Georgia fans and anybody across the world that roots for Georgia would have liked that.
Yeah.
You know, But like you said, players gotta players and coaches alike have to find a way to get right. Because
Hmm.
injuries are part of the sport. You
Exactly.
know, because let's be real. I mean, y'all first championship, Bama complained about their receivers being hurt
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever, and just like this game, everybody's complaining about Brock Bowers being hurt and McConkey being hurt and not being 100%.
Hmm.
All these players, so this is what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
you can even take that to professional basketball with Draymond being out for that game in the series where LeBron comes back 3-1.
Yeah.
This is what it's about. This is why you recruit, and this is why you create depth.
Exactly.
Next man up mentality. Because just because I got a superstar at this position, I have to have somebody just as good or close to being as good as my starter. Because we don't know when the injury is going to happen. Jordan Travis was phenomenal all season,
Mm-hmm.
and a couple games before the championships and all of that, he gets hurt for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So you don't know when it's gonna come. You just have to be prepared. Whenever your number's called, have to be prepared.
Exactly. Exactly.
I give a great example of it because since we're on football, I know we don't talk professional, but this is a prime example. Tom Brady. He wasn't the starter his first year coming into the league, his second year, whatever. He was ready for his moment.
Mm-hmm.
Bledsoe got hurt, Brady stepped in, and he didn't lose the job. Same thing. You know, I'm not saying everybody's gonna be a Tom Brady, but you have to be ready for your moment.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to be ready for your moment because stars are born in those moments. So no knock at the backups at Georgia or anything like that, but you have to just because you go to Georgia or you go to Bama does not mean you're guaranteed the championship. You got to work for it. Bama saw that last year.
Mm-hmm.
Bama saw that the year before.
Yeah.
You know, and we don't know. They started seeing that at the beginning of the year this year. They had to say, okay, we're not as good as we thought we were. We gotta
Mm-hmm.
earn everything,
Right.
which also celebrates the SEC and how tough it is to win here.
Yeah.
So because everybody's competing, everybody 1 through 13. I think it's only 4 spots that's not SEC teams
Mm-hmm.
or future SEC teams. The top four, still two, if you want, for lack of a better word, SEC teams. Because Texas is going to be SEC next year.
Yep.
So, you know, um, I think that I personally thought Georgia was going to get in because of their resume, but then I realized like you can't really put
Mm.
Georgia over Bama
Right.
because Bama beat them
Exactly.
in the championship game, and then you can't put Texas below Bama, because Texas beat Bama.
Right.
And you can't take Washington out because they won their championship. They're undefeated still.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan, same way. And they beat and Washington beat a solid Oregon team. You
Right.
know, although 3 points, whatever, they still beat a solid Oregon team twice
Mm-hmm.
at that. Twice.
Exactly.
So, um, the 1 and 2 spots to me were solidified, in my opinion. I thought maybe Georgia would have slipped in there as a fourth, but like I said, with the analytics of everything, you can't put them over Bama. You can't put them over Texas because Texas beat Bama.
Yeah.
Georgia didn't. So it's kind of like, and then FSU, even though I don't completely agree with a team not being knocked because their quarterback leaves, but I understand it. You lose a Heisman candidate, you know, that's big for your team.
Right.
So, everybody pretty much that's in there, you got two Heisman candidates that are in the playoffs. You have with Washington, you have with Bama, and then Michigan, you have somebody that at one point was in the Heisman race, and running back. So you want a chance to compete. You want the playoffs to be competitive.
Mm-hmm.
You want something to be at stake. You want it
Right.
to be, And last year, to TCU's credit, they made it competitive all the way up until Georgia. But again, sometimes a team just outperforms you. Like I mean, I can't knock TCU for having a great season. I thought that they deserved to be in the championship because everything that was put in front of them, they handled business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just at some point your looks are gonna run out when you have close games and things like that. At some point your looks are gonna run out. I think TCU ran out at the very last game, which happened to be the championship. They were gassed because they had gave everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and same thing with Georgia this year. They were had a few close calls this year that probably shouldn't have been close calls, and they escaped. You know, and then on top of that, you have injuries. So at some point, you're gonna run out because Brock Bowers is not 100%, McConkey's not 100%, and so on and so forth. Those two players right there are your big threats. So with your two big threats not being at 100%, it's gonna be a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
But that is where you have to have that next up mentality. You can't
Yeah.
make excuses. It's just not can't make excuses because
Right.
just like Brock Bowers and those other receivers, the backups are 5 stars too.
Mm-hmm.
And 4 stars and 5 stars. So let's not get it twisted. Georgia has had, the number one or number two recruit class the last few years.
Yeah.
So let's not get it twisted. So I mean, I like I said, at first I didn't agree with the rankings, but now that I've looked at it through better eyes,
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I agree
Yeah. And
because
and I also I want to add real quick. Um, something also was brought to my attention, and it was really in regards to the just as far as the whole landscape portion of you know Georgia truly not making it in. Georgia struggled against Mizzou and Auburn this year, right?
right,
So I had this conversation and I said, I want to say I even said it a few weeks ago with you. I said, when Georgia plays Mizzou and they come out struggling like they did last season, that's going to actually hurt them more than they think. And what happened?
right,
Mizzou came out hot and they had to play catch up. You can't do that. You can't do that in this day and age of the college football playoffs because the committee looks at everything.
right.
And a lot of people's arguments will be like, "Well, Alabama struggled against San Jose State or they struggled with a bunch of teams this year." Yeah, I understand that. I get it. I get that they struggled, but still, their games weren't as close as the Georgia and the as the Mizzou and the Auburn game
I
was.
would say, in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
the first two games. See, this is where people forget. When you lose early,
Mm-hmm.
you can make up time. Meaning, if you struggle early, like if you struggle first 2 or 3 games, you are okay. And like I said, I think I said it a couple weeks ago. I said
Mm-hmm.
mid-season you should have everything ironed out, you
Right.
know, and you should just be building on top of what you've already ironed out. When you struggle early, you can grow from there. But if by mid-season you are still struggling, like a Georgia was with Auburn, that was mid-season. Mizzou, mid-season. You know, when you are still struggling mid-season, that kind of to me says this is what our team is,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no growth that we can do because we can still grow, but this is kind of what our identity is. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and then sometimes, I mean, because Georgia has so much talent, sometimes it looks better on paper because they maybe play a team that they're supposed to beat, and
Mm-hmm.
they beat them like they're supposed to, and everybody says, "Oh well, this is what we do." No, you kind of struggled against a team that you were supposed to beat,
Yep.
but this team is just who you were supposed to be even more, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So it's like,
Yep.
um, like I said, if there is any time to struggle, it would be beginning of the season. If it was any time to catch fire, it would be mid-season to the end. And to Bama's credit, they have been whooping butt from the time from that second game with USF that they struggled until now. They have figured out what they need to do.
Hmm.
Although the last two games of the season were narrow margins, they were against a number one Georgia and against a bitter in-state rival of Auburn, which that game is always at Auburn. I add,
Hmm.
and that game is always like a dog fight, for lack of better words.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
um, and that speaks to the talent that Georgia had at one point.
Hmm.
Like, not trying to discredit the players that are there now because they're still good players.
Yeah.
It just shows when you have a recruit class like the one that won the first championship and the second one, when they leave, it's kind of like, all right, um, my identity is kind of leaving. Like, to the world, I still viewed as this top dog, but my talent is not as big, and even not just the talent, but the mindset.
Hmm.
Think about it. The mindset of last year's team and the year before that, they felt that even though they were the top dog, they still felt as they played as if they were underdogs, meaning they got a chip on their shoulder.
Right.
Like, first year, you had N'Kobe Dean, you had Jordan Davis, you had all these top-notch players that had I know I'm good, but I'm finna prove to you that I'm good. Not just I'm good, so we should win this game. And I think
Yeah.
this year, Georgia's team had that kind of mindset of,
Yeah.
I know I'm good, so I should beat you.
Yeah.
Instead of having that, I know I'm good, but let me prove to you
Yeah.
that I'm good.
Exactly. And what's also crazy now that we're saying, the whole, we know we're good, but we have to play like it. We have to think this Bama team was snubbed last year as well. They were snubbed. You had the players on TikTok making TikToks saying, committee, can you let us in, using voice effects. So of course they were going to come into this season saying, okay, let's act like we're actually wanting to play in the national playoffs. I mean,
Right,
in the college football playoff picture, let's actually go out and play like we want to win.
right,
And that's what they did, and they were able to get in that top four. Now they got Michigan, on the other hand, like, okay, we got to play Bama now. We were expecting Georgia to make it in, and that's not the case. The college football playoff committee is always going to look at these conference champions before anything.
right, right,
That's almost somewhat of an automatic bid. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
like,
You win your conference, that shows that, okay, I dominated my conference, so
exactly.
I
And
know
not
I
only
know
did
I can compete.
Exactly. And not only did they win the conference championship, they won the SEC West. So of course that adds to the resume in itself.
Right,
So it again it hurts. It does hurt. It hurts. But at the same time, all these think pieces going on, oh, well, I think this, save it. Save it.
right.
It's over.
And, it,
It's
and
over.
it's
It
kind of like
happened.
even though I can't stand the rankings, it also shows me that the committee cannot have any like emotions.
Hmm.
You know, you can't be biased in that
Yeah.
because you have to be real. Like, okay, now do I think Bama's not a top four team? No, I think Bama still. I mean, not Bama. Georgia. I think that they could compete in the playoffs. I'm not saying that you know, um, they can't make a run if they were in the playoffs. I just think that because of the circumstances of how everything transpired, I don't think that they should be in it just
Hmm.
based off of everything. Now, could they compete? Shoot, yeah. Can
Yeah.
FSU compete? I think so. You
Yeah.
know, Ohio State, I think they could compete. Shoot, yeah. But because it's only four spots and the way everything transpired, I think that the call is correct.
Hmm.
Meaning, like I said in the beginning, Bama beat Georgia, Texas beat Bama. You can't put Georgia over Bama because Bama beat them, and you can't put Bama over Texas because Texas beat them. So
Yeah.
you can't put Georgia over Texas because Texas beat the team because that's how the committee has to look at it. It's
Yeah.
like, and then, I mean, people want to say, well, Texas beat a team that they should have beaten. No, this team was definitely ranked. This team was definitely good. This team definitely handled business all
Yes.
year.
Yeah.
You know, so and they beat them in convincing fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the
Yeah.
case, you know, Texas should be in. So
Mm-hmm.
I think 1, 2, 3 should not be argued. You know, but then you have a Bama team who's been holding steady at 8 for a while now,
Mm-hmm.
who comes in to, you want to say it, to Georgia territory because the SEC championship is on Georgia's turf. Let's be
Yeah.
honest. And you beat a #1 Georgia team, the reigning champs at that. So you beat them, and their resume this year has been slow starts, struggling to get it going. Okay, second half we're gonna pick it up. This, that, and the third, and
Yep.
that's with a healthy Brock Bowers, a healthy McConkey. So if you're gonna take FSU out for losing their quarterback, you have to take Georgia out for not having their key piece, which
Mm-hmm.
is not the quarterback, would be Brock Bowers. He will play because that's just his nature of, I'm gonna play this game because my team needs it. So if you're gonna discredit FSU for that, you got to do that for Georgia. Because like I told you before, you know, with Brock Bowers, being hurt, Georgia stepped up in some of those
Yeah.
games. So with him being in the game and being hurt, and they couldn't get it done, you kind of got to, like, all right, we can't have them in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it also, like I said, it also sets up a beautiful 2024 season because
For
now,
sure.
you say Georgia is pissed off now.
Mm-hmm.
FSU pissed off now. Now we're gonna see the Georgia that we should have saw this year, the
Right.
one with something to prove. And I'm
Exactly.
pretty sure, even though Kirby Smart is keeping it, I won't say calm because he looks like he sounds like a pissed
That
off
that
dog.
that press
You know,
conference between him and Mike Norvell was something. Those
I,
guys
and
look
and
absolutely.
he has every right to
Yeah.
feel how he feels. But
Yeah.
I think he also knows he's gonna go back to tell his team, like, I told you. I
Mm-hmm.
told you. You come in here with this mindset thinking that you ain't got to work and you ain't got to earn the right to be #1. I told you. You just been getting by because, think about it. Outside of LSU, Mizzou out of nowhere, and Bama and Ole Miss, everybody else is rebuilding in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. Florida, South Carolina, Kentucky, Auburn, Mississippi State, A&M, everybody in the SEC outside of, quote unquote, the blue bloods of the SEC are rebuilding. So you capitalize on a year where everybody was at their worst for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Um so if you had everything lined up for you to win it. But it's also a trap because if everybody is struggling and they're rebuilding, you get to a team that's not rebuilding,
Mm-hmm.
you play them like you play those teams that were rebuilding, you will get hit in the mouth.
Right.
Because like I told you, we talked about it before. They Georgia let teams hang around, but the talent gap was so far. It's like, okay, we can let you hang around and hit you in the mouth fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Because we have the players to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You got Bama, even though this team was not, like the Bamas of the past, these still are 5-star recruits. These
Mm-hmm.
still are athletes that will dominate on a lot of other teams. So you let them hang around, that gap is not gonna be far because they got 5 stars like you got 5 stars. They
Mm-hmm.
got talent like you got talent. So you let them hang around, and then you have a Nick Saban who's smart. He knows how to manage the clock. He knows what to tell his quarterback. Hey, look, we got this game in hand. Just be smart. Like, don't take a sack. Don't take this. Don't take that. If it's not there, throw it away. And then you have a Saban in that who knows your weaknesses. He's seen you how many times?
Right.
And how many times have Georgia beat them? Although it was in the most important game of the season,
Yeah.
it's only been one time. But you gain a championship, but what you risk is they knowing what you're doing. Because Kirby Smart's not doing anything different.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the same formula. It just works, you know.
Right.
So you got to Saban, and in the same respect to Kirby Smart, he knows Saban. It's just who's on that night and who has the players to create that vision for them in that moment.
Yeah.
So, and I think Bama is good, but they're pissed off. They got something to prove. They're playing with a chip on their shoulder, and Milroe, the head, which is the quarterback, which is the head of the team, has got his guys behind him. So it's kind of scary.
Right. I agree. And I mean, the thing me and you both talked about the most was just the amount of how this whole 6 team stack can affect households. Think about it. Next season, we're going into a 12-team format from 6 or 4, however you want to look at it. Do you not realize how much conversation has been over these past few years as to who we think will make this top 4? But now all these teams are now getting an opportunity going into next year with a 12 team. That means we're going to see a lot of 2-loss teams making it in next year. You know what I'm saying? So I think do I think the 12-team format will be good? I'm still undecided about it. But I will say the 4-team, 6-team has been one of the greatest things for college football. Point blank period. This has been the most entertaining football that I've seen in the last few years. It probably will be in my entire life. I'm not even gonna lie and say that because I'm only 25, so it's probably the most entertaining football I've seen in my life because every week you're literally sitting on the edge of your seat trying to figure out who's going to get into that top 4 spot. So it has literally it had households and brought so much revenue and ratings for ABC and ESPN because people are like, okay, my team just did this past week. They better make it in. Dang it, they were like too short. So all these teams are literally we're probably going to see teams that we just aren't accustomed to seeing following going into next year because of this 12-team lineup.
and I will say this is to me. I've always said even before they went to the 14 format,
Mm-hmm.
I think that I always said I think it should be 12
Mm-hmm.
or at least 8.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I say that? Is because for one, you really get to see who is the best team in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now, like you said, it's too much that goes into it. Strength of schedule, X, Y, and Z, and then like a Georgia lose, like it almost like right now, you can go undefeated your regular season and it'd be in vain if you lose
Mm-hmm.
your conference championship, right?
Right.
For me, this really gets to show, okay, did I have a bad night? Or is this team really just better than me? Like, prime example of that this year. Washington played Oregon twice and beat them both times.
Mm-hmm.
So that just shows to me they are the better team. You know. Now, the numbers might not say the same thing as far as like stat wise or whatever, but overall, they are the better team because they figured out a way to get it done twice in the same season. You know, like Georgia couldn't do that with Bama. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? It was either one team won and the other whatever. Um, so this next year is gonna show. All right, you got 12 teams. Your team makes it in at 12. Now you really get to see. For the people that say that the SEC ain't nothing or is weak, you got to play the SEC to get into it now. And then you say, okay, the Big 10 or Big 12, whatever, you got to play them now. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So if you got to play them, you got to tune in. So you got to tune in. So now it's bringing more views because, like, for instance, like if a team, I'm just gonna throw a team out there for Wisconsin or for even like a Liberty would happen to crack into the 12 and they're undefeated. They would literally be saying, well, we undefeated, we should be in the championship
Mm-hmm.
conversation. Now you can have that conversation because now you're in it.
Yeah,
And if you go out here and get beat 56-0, nah, bro, you just play some sorry teams and capitalize on that.
yeah.
So it's to me, it's gonna make people really tune in now. It's
Hmm.
because like everybody has a chance.
Exactly,
Now it's no excuse. You
exactly.
know, right? Like this year and in past years, it's like, ah man, we undefeated, so we good. No, I
Mhm.
mean you undefeated because you might have had a weak schedule. Prime
Yeah,
example: Georgia this year didn't have the strongest schedule. They finally played somebody that was at their level. They lost only by 3, but they lost. So now it's gonna show um how good you really are. Because
hmm,
if you're that number one spot and you win the championship, okay, you are really the best team in college football,
yeah.
no doubt about it. You know, but it's gonna make more people from different conferences, more people that might not have watched SEC football tune in, or
Hmm.
more people that might not watch Big 10 and Big 12 football tune in.
Yeah,
Like I'm gonna actually be able to be watching a team like a Liberty in there, or a team like
yeah,
I just say like a Wisconsin in there. You know, we just don't know.
yeah.
But it's still, even though you have a 2 loss, like I think last year, I don't think Bama was bad last year.
No.
You know, they lost 2 games, and the 2 games they lost was a hot Tennessee team and a hot LSU team. And guess what? Both of them was on the road.
Hmm.
You know, so does that mean that you should not compete for a championship? In my opinion, it doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you got blown out by both teams, okay, all right, you might not be that good as you thought you would. But the
Right.
fact that it came down to the wire, like overtime, you know. So like just with this year, I mean next year, like it's gonna be something to talk about. I personally think it's gonna generate more revenue because it extends the season.
Hmm.
Um, You get to see more people get in that might not have had that chance. Um, and you're gonna see upsets. You know, like in basketball, you see in the tournament, teams that you might not even have thought about watching get an upset in the tournament because everybody pretty much has a chance. So now you gonna see that. Now I think because you are not a 5-star team, like meaning you have a whole bunch of 5-star, that doesn't mean that you're not good. Cause like the Auburn team that won the championship with Cam Newton, we didn't have a top-notch recruiter class. We had a lot of people come from JUCOs, but we didn't have like a whole bunch of 5-stars. We had like 4 stars and 3 stars, and
Hmm.
even when we had Nick Marshall, we didn't have a top recruiting class. We weren't even ranked coming into the season both of those years.
Right.
So to me, um, just because you're a 5-star doesn't mean, or just because you're ranked high doesn't mean that you are the best team in the nation because you haven't played everybody. You
Right.
know, I mean, you still won't play everybody, but you'll play the teams that are considered good,
Hmm.
and then you have the elites. So if you can mash that 12 team thing, I think that you will compete. You have no option but to call that team the best team in college football.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
so that's how I feel about it.
I do want to ask you too, especially with a lot of now we're in the time frame of a lot of things going on with the coaching carousel, and not only have a lot of key players are starting to announce transfers, like today Kyle McCord from Ohio State is transferring, and then Dylan Gabriel from Oklahoma. What do you feel, especially with two of these teams really being that playoff caliber, team? Do you feel that they will I don't know, make it? I want to say, like, do you
I
feel like they still have that opportunity? Especially bringing in transfers, no matter who
in
they bring
in
in.
in with the I saw the Gabriel transfer. I don't like I love hate the
Mm-hmm.
transfer portal
Mm-hmm.
for people that don't feel like the situation is gonna be good for them. Like they might be low on the depth charts and they want to play. I get it,
Mm,
Or is if they're high on the depth chart, they're a starter, but they're not getting the looks that they want, and they transfer.
mm,
I get it. Like if you're at a Vanderbilt, but you're a 5-star recruit, everybody else is around you. The team is not getting the looks that they need, so you transfer to a Georgia or Auburn or something like that, where you can start, but you can also get that shine. I understand it. But if you're getting that shine and you're elite and you're playing on a team that is competing, I don't get it.
mm,
And especially if this is your second time transferring, because Gabriel, this is his second. This will be his second time. Then you got DJ Uiagalelei, whatever however you say his name. You got him transferring again.
mm,
You know, I can see like he didn't do well at Clemson. DJ, he didn't do that great at Oregon State. So now you're transferring again. At what point do you say, all right, I need to sit here and figure it out, or I need to hang it up?
mm,
At what point? Because you team hopping, that only shows NFL scouts that you when it going gets tough, you leave. That shows them that you have no loyalty.
mm.
That shows them that you'll leave your teammates high and dry.
Yeah,
And at the quarterback position, it's big. And I know a lot of people be like, oh, don't nobody say nothing with the coaches leave. Yes, the heck they do.
yeah,
They say it
yeah,
all the time. They say, when the coach leave, why? Like if Oregon's coach would have left, you think Jokers weren't gonna say nothing when they are really, literally
yeah.
in the conversation.
And I
You
mean,
know,
Dan Laney has only been there for 2 years, if I'm not mistaken.
right?
Yeah.
So why would you? To me, if you're the starter, you are literally leading the team. They're headed in the right direction.
Hmm.
Why leave? I
Yeah.
don't get it. Now, I just don't understand it.
No.
I really can't even make an excuse for that
Mm,
particular reason. Like, I mean, but now, the transfer portal is literally now who's offering the most money.
hmm.
Even though to me, you get your bread, you're gonna get your bread to me wherever you go. But if you're gonna transfer one time and figure out that situation.
Hmm.
You know, because the money is there at most of these Power Fives. Like I know for a fact Oklahoma has the money, so I don't
Hmm.
get why you would leave. You're right there at the cusp of being a playoff team. They expanded to 12, so you would be in if you were, if it was next year.
Yeah.
So if you still balled out like you did this year, you would be right there.
Yeah.
Oregon, same thing. So I don't understand why you would leave Oregon or Oregon State.
Hmm.
Oregon State was right there. They are literally on the cusp of something great. Like literally maybe 2 or 3 players away, or an offensive coordinator away from being elite, or just in that conversation. Because now with NIL transfer portal and all of this type of things, the playing field is becoming more even. Like for
Hmm.
instance, Georgia and Bama were right here. You know, now you have Oregon getting to that point. Now you have Washington was right there. Now you have a Oklahoma getting to be right there. Now Texas is getting to be right there.
Hmm.
Ole Miss is climbing that ladder
Yeah.
some. So everybody is Bama, of course, like I said. But the gap is closing.
Yeah.
Colorado, even though they had a bad season this year, I truly believe that they're going to be right there in the thick of things. You know,
It's so great you said that. I just literally Coach Prime was on Good Morning, Good Day America, Good Morning America
yeah, I
this
saw it.
morning. Yeah, and he said it. He was like, dude, with the format expanding to 12. Oh, we're gonna be in it. Like this year was about, I think he said this year was about just I want
Hope,
to say it was along the lines of like
hope.
faith.
Yeah,
Yeah,
give me
hope.
hope. Yeah,
Yeah. Next season is expectations. This is what
right,
I expect of this team. Where I
right.
expect us to make the college football playoffs in 2024.
Cause you got to think about it. Fans want right now results, but this is not a
Hmm.
right now business.
Yeah.
So for one, you got a coach that hasn't coached in Power Five football before. He
Hmm.
hasn't coached in that before. Then you have players that haven't played in that before.
Right.
And then you're basically learning on the way. It's like having a great coach that hasn't been in this position before.
Mm.
So you learning, okay, I gotta get coordinators. Okay. Like it might have been different with the HBCUs. You might have been able to get away with it with skilled players and not having that strong of a line or whatever.
Mm.
Whatever it might have been. I'm not saying that that's what it was. I'm just saying that could have been what it could have been. But Oregon was right there. I mean, not Oregon, but Colorado was right there in the thick of all of these games for their first year. Shador's first year. I saw somebody say, "Well, we need running back." It was like, y'all got a running back. He's a freshman and he's a beast.
Yeah.
And y'all are good at receiver. Y'all have Colorado has, to me, arguably one of the best receiving cores in college
Man,
football this year.
Dylan
You
Edwards
know,
was on fire this year, bro.
right?
Yeah.
And it's not just one. You got
Yeah.
Joe
Yeah.
Corn Jr. You got,
Hmm.
I mean, like you have a
Yeah.
plethora of weapons. It's just pieces that you have to go get.
Hmm.
And I think Coach Prime said that in the beginning of the season that we are literally like 7 players away from being elite.
Hmm.
And I completely agree because you go get you a line, you go get you good linemen on
He
the
was only
defense.
talking about his linemen.
We gonna say it was both, but you get linemen on both sides, right?
Yeah.
Right. You get linemen on both sides. That protects your quarterback. And if I don't care what you say, if Shedeur Sanders got time, he'll pick you apart. He will pick you apart. You know, especially you got an elite quarterback with elite receivers and an elite running back with a piss poor, for lack of better words, line. That's bad. But if you give him time and you don't even have to be a elite line, just a good line to hold up just enough for him to make his reads. My God,
Yeah.
and then you go you don't even. I don't think the DBs are bad there. I really don't. Even though I always talk about Shiloh, I always mess about him getting burnt. I don't think he's bad. I just think, me personally, if your D line is not getting any pressure on the quarterback, that sets the DBs up for disaster.
Hmm.
Because you are on an island. If I always say in football, everybody helps everybody out.
Hmm.
Because if your line is getting pressure, that helps your DBs. If your DBs are doing their thing, that helps your linemen. So if your DBs are holding up, that gives the linemen more time to sack the quarterback. If the linemen are getting to the quarterback fast, that causes errant throws, rush throws, throws that are out of bounds. That what I'm saying. So that helps your DBs. So same thing with the offense. If the line holds up, quarterback got time to deliver to the receivers. Line holds up, running back got time to find the hole, make space, go get yards. So everybody helps everybody out, but it all starts with the two pieces, in my opinion, that don't get talked about enough, and that's the offensive line and defensive line.
Hmm.
So I think Colorado's going to be in that conversation next year. So if the talent gap is closing, you know, why would you leave a situation where you have the talent and you have the experience
Hmm.
and you have the coaching, they have the money? Why leave? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I
It's
really
it's
don't.
a it's a it's a weird it's very weird. It's very weird. I agree with you on that. It's very weird. But I think we're just in that time where when NIL was even being introduced, it showed you could tell then like a lot of players were excited, and I think it showed because the players want to be able to not only profit off of their playing, but they want to be able to change the lives of not only themselves but their families. Because
Right,
some of
right,
these players, they may not come from much, and they
right,
may
right,
want to feel like oh, I was able to retire my mom also while being able to get my degree. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Or
And
I was
that's a beautiful thing.
yeah, I was able to buy my mom that car she had been wanting for a while.
Right,
We
right,
had been sharing a car while I was in high school, but now I'm in
right,
college. I was able to get me one, and now I can get my mom one as well.
right.
So it's a beautiful thing, but it's also a very
It's hindering.
dark. Yeah, yes,
It's hindering.
yeah. Mhm.
It's it's good in the aspect of helping your family. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you come from nothing, you know, you get your mom out the hood, you get, change her situation, retire her. That's
Mm-hmm.
cool. But for me, um, on the other side, should I say, it hinders you because you expect it,
Mm-hmm.
right? You don't want to earn that. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to work for it. Cause I guess for me, I guess I could say this now since I'm older. I'm kind of like uh,
We
old
unks
school
now,
approach.
bro.
I'm old school approach. Like I'm not. I ain't that goddamn old. You'll call me uncle. I'm slapping him in the face. Heck, nah, you not calling me uncle. Bump that. I ain't that goddamn old. No, I can still dap you up. I can still get on the field with you. I ain't that goddamn old. I still burn you on the field. Let's no, no. I still listen to the same music you do. So no, 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 no. I'm not old. I'm not either. No, I'm not I'm not that goddamn old. But anyway, uh, I guess I have a older approach
Mm-hmm.
to things because maybe not necessarily loyalty to a school, but loyalty to my craft. Meaning, I want to be the best. Whenever I step on, I feel I step on the field. I want to be the best at what I do. Cause I heard Lil Wayne say one time that if you working hard, you can't help but make money. Cause it's gonna come. Might not come right then, but if you working hard, you can't help but make money. So with the NIL deal now, like I'm not saying you gotta be loyal to this school. I'm not saying that, you know, if you come to this school you can't leave. I'm not saying that. But especially if you transfer to this school or you commit to this school, I personally think that you should not be able to like if you commit, like if you're a high school player and you commit to a school, I don't feel like you should be able to change it like that or explore other options like that. You should do that before committing because that messes up everything that Joker's got going on. Because if I can commit to a school and I can just explore my other options while I'm doing that, it's like I'm not really committed to that school.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I commit to a school, that school is preparing for me to come there. Meaning, we got you locked in. So if I'm a quarterback or if I'm running back, and that was the piece that they needed, and I commit to them, they say, okay, we got our running back, you know, so let's go get us a better line. Let's go get us whatever he needs or whatever, so that we can build everything around them. But if I'm exploring other options and somebody else gives me more money and I leave, that just leaves all of that behind. You know what I'm saying? And people are starting to
Yeah.
say, well, school this, school that. No, it's a mutual agreement.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you can't explore, just don't commit until you ready to commit. Like explore all of your options. If 50 schools offered you and you got 50 visits, go on 50 visits and then commit. Like just being honest. I would rather you do that and then you commit to somebody that I don't even want you to commit to. Like I'm an Auburn fan, but if you go to 50 schools and you commit to Bama, I'm fine with that. Because they obviously offered you everything that you wanted to, or they offered you the most out of what
Mm-hmm.
you wanted. You know what I'm saying? But
Yep.
to me, when you commit, that should shut everything down.
Yeah.
As far as the transfer portal, I think it should be stipulations on it. I think that if you transfer somewhere, either you gotta wait a year or you can't transfer until you've played a certain amount. You
Yeah.
know, or you
Yes.
can't transfer again. You know, that's what I think because if you if you don't have that, then it's like what's the point? Because now
Yeah.
you just like free agency. You like, oh, who got the best deal? Who got the best deal?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of this is to when did we forget that college is to prepare you to be a professional? Now you got NIL money. Now you're getting paid to learn how to be a professional.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning you're in college, you're getting your degree, you are getting all the treatment that a professional will get, and you're working on your craft to become the best player you can be and best person you can be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I mean, all this extra stuff, you know what I'm saying? You transferring and doing all that extra stuff. If you don't have a legit reason, then I don't see
Yeah,
why
yeah,
you doing it so many times. Because obviously, the first time you transferred, they said something that you know you wanted to hear, and if you're a starter and you're in the picture to compete, obviously that kind of came true. So I don't like it personally because if you get in this dispute with a coach, instead of ironing it out and figuring it out, you leave. I don't
mhm.
get that. I
Yeah,
really don't get that.
yeah. I agree. I agree, and I think too with the stipulations put in place, it'll not only like it'll help as far as the scope of the transfer portal, just like what's the word I want to say? Just keeping it under control,
Right.
basically. And I'm piggybacking off you, but yeah, keeping it under control because not only do you have thousands of players in that transfer portal, but you have a lot of coaches and recruiting analysts and all this. They're after these same recruits as well. So I think that would help, and it'll definitely keep a lot of that under control. And I think eventually it'll come out and be like, hey, like let's try to start limiting this transfer portal this number of transfers, because at the same time, with all these new players coming in and you keep getting all these transfers happen, eventually the sport is just going to be like, okay, this feels like pro, like
Right.
everybody
And it's
just
gonna get to
yeah,
that point. Yeah,
hmm
it's gonna get to
yeah.
that point.
So yeah, but no, I agree. I agree. Well, brother, all right. We about 56 minutes in. You kind of want to wrap this thing up, or what? We got some more to talk
Oh, I
about. What
mean,
you?
hey, we can go all day long,
Yeah,
but I
you
mean,
know
hey,
it.
I think that's a good stopping point, man. We
Yeah, for
pretty much
sure.
got everything covered. What I'm saying, I appreciate
Hmm.
everything. I love this conversation. I
Yeah,
love the analytics and the back
yeah.
and forth about the rankings and stuff
Hmm.
like that.
It's been
Hey,
great.
it
It's
is what
definitely
it
been
is. It,
great.
it is what it is. I mean,
Hmm.
and nothing you can do about it at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Players got to make plays. You know, Georgia didn't make enough of them. You know, Texas made enough of them, and then some. Michigan made enough of them. Washington, finished out strong.
yeah,
So you get those. You get those. You get that's what you get. When
yeah.
players make plays and they
Yeah.
continue to make plays like they're supposed to make plays, put them jokers in the playoffs.
It it's always a good feeling when you can get that nod of approval from a committee like the College Football Playoffs Committee to say like, hey, you've done enough in our eyes to play for a national championship, and I don't think there's any another great feeling besides winning the national championships that you can get in college football. So
Right.
I'm excited to see
And
how this top four goes. In a few weeks, and we'll be getting ready for the national championships real soon.
right. And we got a
So yeah.
surprise for y'all for the national
Oh
championship
yeah.
too. And
Nice. Yes,
I
sir.
also want to say, just to piggyback and end off my topic of the transfer portal and people
Hmm.
coming in, as recruits or whatever. Don't worry about playing your freshman year. If you can, cool. But if your goal is to make it a professional, don't worry about playing your freshman year, because all NFL scouts want to know is, are you coachable? Meaning, what did you develop into?
Hmm.
You know, because if you are great your freshman year and you are okay your second year and you are okay your third year, that means you are not coachable. That means you are not working hard. That means you're not doing what you're supposed to do. So don't worry about playing your freshman year. Just grow into what you're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? And that, if that's your main thing, don't worry about that. Just
Hmm.
grow into what you're supposed to do. That's all. And that's coming not from me, from Nick Saban himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Hey, he's right. That's one of the greatest people to ever lead. I mean, the man is the godfather of college football, in my opinion. And I mean, he said the correct thing. I mean, even when you actually get that opportunity to step on the field and you dominate, oh, they're gonna come looking for you. They're going to come looking for you, no matter what. Wherever you are, the people will come.
right.
They will find you. So
Yep.
but yeah, man, I think that's a great place to stop, and I think this is definitely something that was needed. We definitely need to get this out in the open and clear some of the confusion. So ladies and gentlemen, this has been another great episode of the College Couch Podcast. As always, I'm Javaris Harris along with Stackz Delbridge, forever in the building. Thank you, Jesus.
Hallelujah.
Hey, amen. But thank y'all so much for all of your love and support as always. You guys make the College Couch Podcast what it is. This is an open space for us. Like this is how we are able to be ourselves and just let our opinions flow. And we cannot thank you enough for letting us have this platform. Stackz, take me home, brother.
Hey man, we appreciate y'all tuning in with us, checking us out, man. Leave a comment in the comment box. Hit us in the DM. We respond. Let us know what you thinking and the questions you got about this CFB playoffs, picture, whatever. If you think that we didn't cover everything, you got a player you want us to cover that's doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? Let us know. Let us know. We appreciate y'all for making us go, because that's what y'all do. Y'all make us go. Players make plays, and we making them right now. College Couch, we got bills to pay. We out of here. Wake up, I gotta go get it. Wake up, I...